Hey folks, good day to you. VM Explorer here, and today is going to be about getting Kubernetes and Docker up and running on a Windows 10. Sorry, I wanted to say Windows Workstation for some reason, but it's a Windows 10 OS running on Workstation today, and we're going to be kind of going through this course here, which is building applications for Kubernetes. Now, this particular course can be found on kubeAcademy. If you're not familiar with that, let's take a quick peek at it. So, kubeAcademy by VMware, right? You can sign up for the Pro membership for free. Okay, the Pro membership will give you access to all the courses and resources and all that type of stuff. And all you got to do is just go to kubeacademy/pro. Right over here where this little kind of Docker symbol is, there'll be a sign up button. Click it, put in your information, and you'll have a free account to get into all the courses. So speaking of courses, what I've been doing is I've been going through a lot of different Kubernetes courses, whether it be getting started, Containers 101, Kubernetes 101. The one I found most valuable out of this, because a lot of this was pretty basic, but still good, right? Not bad. This frequently asked questions session was really good, though it's a 56-minute course. Put it on double time and let it crank away. But where I'm at right now is building applications for Kubernetes. And when we drill down in this particular session, one of the lessons we see in here is actually setting up your workstation. That's the one I just completed, and I wanted to make sure I had good information on it so I could repeat that process. So let's slide down here. Now, the session is really good, but it goes through all the installation for Macintosh, which I must say, if you have a Macintosh, I'd highly recommend doing it that way. It's going to make your life a lot easier. The Windows install is a little complicated, and that's what I'm going to cover today is how to set up your workstation if you have Windows 10, right? And that's what we're going to go through we're going to go through setting it up for Windows 10, getting Docker's desktop running, and all the extra tools that they ask us to have installed and ready so that we can complete the rest of these sessions here, there's about 6 more sessions to go. All right, so let's get into it. And we're going to go right there. Sorry. Let's slide down a little bit. So a quick overview. Like I said, these steps are for installing Docker and the associated tools for Windows 10. There might be errors in this video. I'm just going through the course. You're probably going through it. And as I move forward in the course, we might run into some issues that you had to reinstall something or update something. It happens, right? Check my blog, vmexplorer.com, or the video comments below for corrections. I'll try and add them as they come up. But just, these are the steps I'm doing right now, and they might change down the road. Okay? All right. So setting up your workstation with Docker. Okay. Like I said, the Macintosh install, easy peasy. The Windows install, a little bit different, right? So you have to prepare Windows. And one of those things is getting the Windows subsystem for Linux, right? Or WSL2, right? Right, that installed and operational. Okay, so here's how I did it. Okay, first off, I take a VM snapshot before installation, and that's because I'm running Workstation right now. And that's the beauty of Workstation, right? Is being able to come in here and actually create a snapshot. And you can see right there, I made this snapshot called pre-Docker install, so that if I mess up my system or whatever it is, I can roll it back and start again. And guess what? I did a couple times trying to figure out how to get this all working right, because the documentation is not really bad. There's just a lot of it to figure out, and what you need and don't need, and filtering it all out. It took a little time. It was complex, right? But now I've got it filtered down and working right, and we should be able to actually do this all in one shot. But still, take a snapshot. So if you have to roll it back, you got it there. Easy peasy, right? Don't forget is you need to enable the virtualization on the vCPU. And you'll have to shut down the VM to do this if you haven't done it already. And you just go basically into your settings, right? You look at your processors, and you want to make sure that box is checked right there for Intel VTX, right? Or the AMD VRNI. Okay, make sure that box is checked, and you should be good to go. All right, so also you want to make sure you're following the pre-requirements for the WSL2 backend. Okay, and that is you need to confirm your OS requirements. The builds meet that. So let's slide this over here real quick, and we'll start bringing up some of the documentation that you're going to want to start looking at. Okay, that's on this tab here. We're going to put this guy right there, and let's look here. All right, so this link will take you to here to install the Docker's desktop. You can click on this and get it going because it's about a 500 meg download as you're reading the requirements. Slide down, okay? Make sure you follow everything in this section, okay? It's important, okay? First off is you need to make sure you have Home or Pro 2004 or higher, or if you're running Enterprise, make sure you have the correct versions, okay? Make sure you enable the WSL2 features in Windows, okay? And I talk about that right here. So we'll go through that in a second. It lists out the ones that you need to enable, okay? Then also make sure your hardware prerequisites are successfully to run this, okay? So you need to have a 64-bit processor, at least 4 gig of RAM, BIOS level hardware virtualization support. That's that check right here that we talked about, enable virtualization on the vCPU. Okay, and you also need to download the Linux kernel package update. And we'll go through all those steps here in a second. Now, special note, as you slide down a little bit further, it clearly calls out that, hey, look, nested virtualization scenarios such as Docker desktop running on VMware or Parallels instance might work, but there are no guarantees. So there's a little bit more information here, and I also included that link down below, and you can get to it and look at it if you want some more information. So we got some work to do, right? We need to get these prerequisites kind of knocked out first. So we took our snapshot. We are going to now, we checked our OS requirements. I'm good there, and that's just simple as just doing WinVer. Okay, way ahead. So we're good there. Now we just want to add those features, make sure they're in there. Okay. So there are 3 we want to look for. The Windows Hypervisor platform, the virtual machine platform, right? And the Windows subsystem for Linux. Those 3 are the ones we want to hit. So let's scroll down. They're all pretty much in the same area. Windows subsystem for Linux, check. Okay, got that. Then we go up to hypervisor platform, check, and the virtual machine platform, check. Now these are not checked by default. The first time you go in here, you're going to need to check those. Okay, so I'm good there. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need to download the Linux kernel update package. I've already done that, and I put it in my download folder. So let's go there, and we'll get it installed. That's this guy right here, the WSL update. Okay, so this needs to run. And it installs, well, it was quick. Less than a minute, probably. This is a few seconds. Done. Okay. Now that we've got that done, next thing we need to do, let's make this a little bit bigger, right? Okay. So we've done the Linux kernel update. Now we're done with the prereqs. Now we download and install the Docker desktop for Windows. Okay. And we follow the install Docker desktop on Windows instruction. That's pointing back to here. Okay. As we slide down, there it is, install Docker on Windows desktop. That's where we're at. So we basically run the installer, make sure that this is checked, the installation requirements for LS2 is checked, okay? And basically just follow the instructions. And if your admin account, right, is different from your user account, so if your user account you're logged in currently doesn't have admin rights, you're going to want to make sure you get that corrected. Right, you want to make sure that this Docker users group you're added to it so that you have the rights to do it. I'm logged in as admin basically, so I'm good. This is just a demonstration, so no big deal. All right, so I've already downloaded it, and where you downloaded was that thing we talked about first, right? Which is this guy right here, Docker for Windows. Okay, and let's go ahead and run it. Now, as this goes through its install, I'll probably pause it off and on because it takes it probably about 4 or 5 minutes to actually install. And then when it's completed, we'll continue on with our steps here. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, so it's going to download the package, and once it's downloaded, you're going to start seeing a bunch of the components get decompressed, things of that nature, and then they all get installed. Okay. those are the check boxes, the instructions we're talking about to make sure they're checked. And here you can see they're unpacking those right now. So we'll pause it and we'll come back in just a second as things start to update and change. All right, so it's continuing to unpack files as it goes along. Let me slide over here real quick. I want to talk to you about one other thing. Is when we're looking at this Docker's install for Windows, there's two options. I don't know if you noticed that here. There's the WSL2 backend or Hyper-V backend and Windows containers. And it's my understanding that for perhaps on a Windows 10 machine, you can actually run both, which is the Linux blend of Dockers and the Windows container version of Dockers. And maybe that's something I'll look into here in later videos. But for now, we're just going to get that WSL2 backend installed. And that's kind of what we're going through here are those steps. Some folks might want to choose this and maybe that'll work. But for what I need in this course, we're focused on the WSL2 backend. All right, it's continuing to move along here, as you can see, going through the different resources, getting them unpacked, and it's still going to take a little bit longer to finish up its tasks. All right, and there it is. So now we'll just close and log out, and of course I'm going to lose all my lovely icons, but we'll bring them back in here in a second. So let's do that. All right, so now we're going to log in here. What you might see, okay? And once we get in here, I'll show you this in my note, okay? What you might see are some errors pop up. Now, what I can determine is this looks like there's a kind of a race situation where one gets ahead of the other. So once you're right here right now, which is launch the Docker's desktop and accept the EULA, okay? And then what I would recommend is exiting the Docker's desktop and rebooting as well. What you'll also see down here is eventually is there he is, the containers icon will start to show up. And if the EULA isn't accepted and it's started, it may come up with an odd .NET error that looks kind of weird. Oh, in this case, look, it prompted us this time. That's great. In past times, it was actually giving me like a .NET error and would not continue. And what I had to do was actually go in here into Docker Desktop to get this EULA to come up. This time it seemed to work fine and figure it out. It might have that effect with you. So I'm going to choose accept. Okay. There it goes. The back end is starting up, which is good news. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Docker engine is starting. And this can take a few minutes. It might take it a few minutes the first time to kind of get up and running, but let's give it a few seconds, get going, and then we'll get back at it. All right, so it's good to go. And of course, there's a tutorial here that you can go through if you want to. I'm just going to choose skip for now, right? And then we'll move forward. Okay, and it's up and running. And this is ultimately what we're looking for with the install, is it to get to this point. But we do want to validate it. And the way we do that is we're going to go into a Windows command prompt, or let's see right there. Okay. And even though the slide says Ubuntu terminal prompt, don't worry about that. That's a little typo there. We're going to go into Windows command prompt. And all we're going to do is type in Docker version. Okay. Bingo. That's what we're looking for, is just for it to come up and show us that it's installed and it's ready to go. I'm sure if we want to go back through and double check these numbers, we could. But it's good to go. Now, the next thing the course asked us to do was run docker run -rm-it hello world. I've seen that somewhere before. Just about every programming class, right? Okay. And it's going to take a second. Oh, did I do something? Oh, needs a double dash. Right there, double dash. There it is. Okay, so it can't find it locally. It's going to go out and search the internet for it and find it. Okay, it downloads it and says, hey, hello from Docker. Looks like everything's working great. If you want to try something cool, it says, right? A little bit more ambitious, you can do this. Why not? Let's do it. So Docker run it Ubuntu bash. Okay, so now I can't find it locally. It's going to go pull it down. Here it comes. Hey, and look at that. It looks like a Linux prompt. That's because it is, right? And now if we go back to our Docker's desktop, look at that. There it is. He's up and running. So you're starting to get your first kind of containers to come in, right? You're actually running this Ubuntu kind of shell, so to speak, in a command prompt, and it's actually up and doing its thing. Okay. So in this, I'm just going to type exit. Okay. And if you notice, it shows it as exited. Now I've got a choice here. I've installed two things, and the instructions, these are the instructions from the course we're following now, right? Is we need to remove hello world, which is this command right here. So let's do that first. And there it goes. Now we want to do the same with Ubuntu. Error. Uh-oh. What happened there? Unable to remove it. Must force. Looks like we got ourselves into a bit of a problem. That's where the Docker's desktop client can come in handy. So if you notice, it's been exited. It isn't running. And now I can just simply delete it out of here, and it's gone. All right, so that's getting the initial Dockers installed. We still have all the tools to install, which they've shown us here as well. So our next one is we're going to get Kind installed. So we're going to get that downloaded and then get it installed and up and working. All right, so now on the Kind web page here. And again, this is all, if you take the course, all these steps are here for you to do. We're looking for the Windows installation. So let's scroll down. And it should be as easy as doing these commands right here. These guys. All right, so once again, back out to command prompt. So those I've got documented here. I'm going to slide over, go back into here, and we're going to start with the first one. Now let's get the second one. Okay, so if you notice something here, some dir in your path, right, for kind.exe. So we need to identify that, right? These weren't in the instructions for the course because they're going through on the Macintosh, right? It was a little different. In this case, we need to identify the path and move kind to it. All right, so let's figure out that path. Where should I move this kind.exe? And the other tools that are coming up, they all seem to be putting them into a Docker resource bin folder. So I think that's where I'm going to move this guy. And if you notice, what we're doing is this move item.kind. We're actually kind of doing a rename at the same time. So for now, let me see where we figure this out. I want to make sure I got this path here. So let's go into move. Oh, looks like it didn't capture that. Let's get that path. Okay, we got the path now. Let's paste her in there. Okay, and we're going to call this kind. That's kind of what I thought, is move item is not recognized, right? So I think it's kind of interesting they're giving us these commands that aren't quite right. But let me try this. Maybe this is a capitalization issue, so let's try that. Haven't seen this one before. Usually Windows isn't sensitive, but, well, let's see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so let me find a quick way to do this, which is use File Explorer, right? I mean, when all else fails, go to File Explorer. And we want to go to users, myself. Okay, there it is. Copy this guy. Program files. Oops, sorry. Program files. Docker. Resources. Bin. Paste. Yep, do it. There it is. Now we can either just do this, zip. It's going to say, hey, you're going to rename this, are you sure? Yep, there it is, done. And that's essentially what they're asking us to do. Why their installation gave us those installation instructions of move item, and yeah, don't know, but those didn't work quite right. So by doing this, we're able to get it into a folder that is accessible. It seems like the right path, because we're going to be updating this one here in a little bit, and kind is located there for now, so we should be good to go. All right, so back to the course, and let's see here. Now we just need to type kind and make sure it's coming up. And there it is. That's what we wanted to see. That's how they're showing us in the course, is that it comes up with this kind of, you know, information, right? So I think, yeah, actually we could probably put version in here. I don't know why we wouldn't do that. That would probably be better. There it is. Hey, look. Beautiful. All right, kind's up and running. That tool's done. Let's move on to our next tool here, which is update the kubeCTL, right? Okay, so there are various install instructions. We need to download it and actually get it installed and updated. And then they also said change it to a path, and now we know which path to put it to. It already exists. So we'll get that all running. Let's get it downloaded right now. All right, so let's open up the installation instructions. Now it looks like we have two options. We can either download using this curl command and download this, right? Or we can simply click on the download and do it ourselves, right? So let's take a look at that. It simply is either download it here, which I think that's what we'll do. We'll just click on download. Here it comes, right? And then all we've got to do is get it into that path. So first off, let's check out and see which one we have first. So we got kubeCTL version client, right? Okay, so in there we could see it looks like our version is 121.4, 121.4. Okay, so now let's see if we can update this. I'm going to go show in folder. We're going to copy this guy. We know where it's at, right? He's in program files, Docker resources, bin. There it is. In fact, if I wanted to, I could actually go like this and rename it old and put this one in. Oldest trick in the book, I think. Rename it to old, and there it is. It's updated. So now let's do it again. Same command, and it's updated to 122.0, new version. And that was it for that one. All right. Now moving down to the next tool they wanted us to install. We're moving on to customize. Okay. So it does say that this is a Choco install of customize, but if we try and run Choco from the command prompt here, all right, it doesn't exist. So we got to solve that challenge. So let's go to the installation instructions, close out of there, open this guy up in a new tab, and let's see what we can figure out. All right, so to install Customize for Windows using Chocolatey. Okay, so we know we don't have it, and they give us a nice link here for the package. So I've opened that up. Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, here's an accept for cookies, etc. Let's make this full size. There we go. All right. And it looks like we're going to zoom in a little bit here. Zoom out so we can read there. There it is. I understand. Okay. All right. So now we need to figure out how to get this installed, which shouldn't be too difficult. So let's see what we got. All right. So it looks like what this has taken us to, we were previously on this one, right? And to install Customize, do this. Here's the Choco package. That basically is their package, right? And what we need to do is we need to get the Choco command. And what I found is the install over here, which is this link. And here are some of the installation instructions for getting it installed. All right, so let's take a look through this real quick. All right, so it doesn't look too complicated to get Chocolatey installed. Basically, what it's telling us here is, hey, there's a few requirements. Need to make sure you have this, which is usually not a problem. You need to ensure you're using administrative shell. Okay, that's the command prompt. Okay, install with PowerShell. Okay, some other warnings here about different rights and things that you might want to use. But basically, it's just copying this command and getting it going. So let's get, for me anyways, right? So let's go to PowerShell. And in this case, I'm going to open up as administrator. Okay. And there it is. And it should be as simple as pasting this guy in and letting him do what he needs to do to finish up. Here comes the archive. Looks like that's working. There it goes. I did mention we might get a few errors as we go through. Okay, there's a few, right? Might need to reboot, right? Reopen your shell before you can use Choco. So we'll check that out. Okay. So it's ready to go. You can call Choco from anywhere, command line, or PowerShell by typing Choco. Run Choco/questions for functions. All right, so let's exit out. Go over to our handy command prompt, and let's check out and see if Choco's ready. So it's not. Well, remember, it just told us, hey, look, you might need to close out of your command prompt. So let's do that. Let's close out. Let's go back in. We'll try it again. Hey, what do you know? There it is. All right, so it's ready to go. So now let's get back over to our install, and that was getting customized going. Okay, so CHO. All right, and yes, we do. All right, here it comes. All right, so it looks like we might need to run this as administrator. So let's go back and retry this again. So let's go out, and this time we're going to launch as administrator. Yep. Okay, let's put you over there. Oh, it's starting to look better. There it goes. All right, let's let it go through and do that. So, little tip there. Make sure you run it as an administrative, and I think it actually said that over here, though it doesn't tell us here, right? And for support, you might want to look at this page, right, which kind of explains how to install it in more detail, and definitely want to run it in administrative mode. And hey, I think we're good to go with customize. Let's see what the steps were for checking it out. And basically, just to install it, we just type in customize. Hey, looks like it's there. Okay, at least it came up with the kind of help. Let's see if we can do a version. And there you go. Looks like it's good to go. All right, next tool they wanted us to get installed. And again, hey, look, Choco again, right? Okay, so the Kubernetes Helm program. So let's see if we can do that again. And from those instructions, it basically said to do this and run that. We're in administrative mode, so let's give it a go. Just gonna say all. Okay. And then again, we just type in Helm when it's done and make sure it's ready to go. Now, of course, these are all tools we'll be using in the course. This is why we're getting them installed and working. Okay, there it is again. I don't see it, but maybe they have a version. And they do. Looks like it's good to go. All right. one of our last tools coming up. Okay, so this is Scaffold. Okay, so we're gonna have to go to the Win install and simply download and place it into path. That's all there is to that one. Okay, so let's get it. Okay, so this one should come down pretty quick, and then we'll use File Explorer to move it. So all we need to do is put it in there and call it as Scaffold exe. Okay, so we're going to copy this guy. We know where to put it now. Same path as the other ones. And let's rename it. Done. Okay, so let's go back and give it a run. There it is. Let's do version. And the version's done. All right, folks, those were all the tools that they had us install and get ready to go for this lesson one. Some helpful videos, you know, between these two videos right here on YouTube. I'll have those links out there for you. They were good and helped me understand a little bit more about the kind of Windows Linux integration there and how to get started with it. That helped a little bit get these first steps figured out. This was kind of the meat and potatoes of it, trying to figure this part out. And that EULA was really hanging folks up. I read a bunch of articles out there on folks that just weren't getting prompted with it and it would never work. And so we might seem a little bit of bizarre behavior in this area right now. Looks like they might have a bug with this they're trying to work out. But long story short, we're all done with kind of this lesson one, setting up your workstation on Windows. All the tools are installed. Now I'm ready to move on to lesson two, and we'll start another video from there. So I do hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit subscribe below.